me problems, and I'll try and fix and fix and fix.
You think your pain is worse than my pain?
Time to get real on Dear Trauma Podcast with Zach Talley. Where we talk mental health, mindset, and healing forward.
Yes, sir. Hey, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Dear Trauma Podcast. I am excited about today because I am with my brother, Mr. Lamar Wilson. Today, he is going to share all kinds of good nuggets, man. We just got to make sure we're listening. Before we were able to get this podcast up and going, I ran into all kinds of tech issues. So this brother's patience in and of itself deserves a round of applause. So I'm gonna get that to you, brother. I'm gonna get that to you.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Lamar, what's going on with you, bro?
Just a lot of things going on. Just really like this year, starting the year off with really want to be. I want to use my voice in a lot of areas that last year I didn't. So I'm really putting myself in a position where I'm all in. You know that term where like they ready to risk it all? Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Time to do the work, people. Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, bruh, same here, man. This year was the year I said, you know what? I've got a voice, I need to use it. And we're going to get into that. We're definitely going to deep dive. But, man, let's kind of just get into it. Will you tell the people, who is Lamar Wilson?
Yeah, a son of a single mom, 3 brothers, 3 sisters, grew up in Astoria projects, housing, if you want to, these new terms is housing. Grew up in in a household, brothers out selling drugs, in and out of jail, the neighborhood, drug dealers, crackheads, really, just touching middle class, no disrespect to nobody. I'm just talking, in the 80s, 90s, with food stamps, and, people wasn't really making the type of money they make it today, So I grew up at 8 years old, going to the store, at 8, and, morning and night going to the store because that was normal, Everybody knew you in the neighborhood, so you just had to go to one point, to the I'm gonna go back a couple years. I know they could probably not even know what this is, but the phone, where you get the pay phone.
Yeah, boy, I remember them days.
Yeah, and my mom would write me a list. In that list, I had my list and the money, and I got the tight grip. And you be able to, go to the phone booth, the pay phone, say phone booth, cross the street, give the note and the money to a guy in the store. He puts everything in the bag. I go home. That started at 8 years old.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But again, that's normal where I'm from.
Yep.
I don't know right. So that environment. And, you going outside, they know that's Shirley's son, So, he going towards that way, he going to the store. So, fellas out there doing their thing, but they got their eye, like, all right, where he at?
Yep, always on that lookout.
Exactly. You took too long, Miss Shirley gonna beat you.
Yep.
That's, that they were on.
I get it. I mean, honestly, where you came up from doesn't sound too very different from where I came up in Augusta, Georgia. Small country town trying to be a city, but very similar vibes from what I'm hearing, man. Lots of drugs, lots of gangs. But funny enough, I think it's just the time we came up in. There was a sense of community that I don't know if it's here. And even when the community's not doing right, to an extent, the inner community tried to do right by each other as much as they could. We still had certain standards and certain rules that don't apply today. Like today, all bets are off. It's different, but yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, growing up, I always say this: I was born in the drug era. My brothers was raised in the drug era. It might go over people's heads. What I'm telling you is that I was born in it, where I was too young to understand what was going on around me. I was around the 80s, I was under 10. You know, from the 80s to the 90s, I'm under 10. So I'm not outside by myself. I'm not going to school by myself. I'm not doing things by myself. So I was born in the drug era, but my brothers that were teenagers that were outside hanging out, they were raised in it. So they had the understanding of what's going on versus me. So by the time I got into it, drugs already hit the system. Everybody was, you know, either you were on it, you was right. So I always say that time frame when I was able to go out, you already had the drug dealers making money. So they were block parties. Drug dealers
Especially
pulling
up
up.
north.
Right. You know, you got the cars. So by the time I came outside, it was we're already on. So you got a choice. You either gonna sell it, or you gonna use it, or you just gonna stay away from me. I grew up with 3 brothers that was like, you gonna stay away from it. Period.
Right.
And if you don't, then we're gonna have some problems. You know, and my father wasn't strong enough to walk away from it. My father overdosed from drugs. You know? So he chose, and I'm not mad at him, but he chose drugs over his kids. So I had to grow up understanding why my dad don't love me, why my dad don't want to be a father, why my dad not around. I see my dad. I see my dad. But the thing is, internally, internally, he don't see me.
Man.
And that's, you know, growing up. So a lot of that inspired the voice I have now.
Wow. You just hit on a lot, bro. It's crazy. That's another area that you and I have in common. My dad, he was not in the picture. My mother and he had divorced when I was really young, and she remarried and we moved. But every holiday, I was at my aunts and uncles, and my uncle literally lives next door to my dad my whole life. My dad's house my whole life. But I only maybe have one memory of my dad, even though I'd see him from a distance every now and then. He was not in my life, and his vice was alcohol, not drugs. But the decisions and the lifestyle that he had did not allow him to be a father by any stretch of the imagination. And by the time I had just had my 10th birthday 2 days after Christmas, and I remember it like it was yesterday. My cousin finally spent the night with me at my uncle's because it was Christmas break and we didn't want to separate. He and I were only a year from each other, a year older, you know, apart from each other. Went to my uncle's house. We got up that morning, went to the video store, and by the time we came back, mind you, this is 2 days after Christmas. It's cold. It's snowing a little bit. We had pulled into the driveway from grabbing movies, and there was this big crowd right there in the front yard. My uncle rushed me in the house, but he couldn't rush me in before I realized it was my dad's body laying there on the ground.
Man.
I mean, you know what? I will say I was mad. I was pissed because I had no guidance, no leadership, none of the man stuff that I thought I deserved. And it wasn't until I was almost 30 that I found out that he was an alcoholic. I had no idea. I just thought he was honestly just devoid of accountability. I didn't know what he struggled with. I was told at the time he was sick, but I remember going to the funeral, and I think I might have been the only dry tear in the whole place. I couldn't cry. I didn't feel like I knew him. You know,
Right.
and for throughout my teens, it showed because I was pissed, and I let that anger out whenever I got into a fight. I was drawn into the streets and into the drugs, the drug game and culture just off of strength. You see guys a year or two older than you. They look cool. They driving cool cars. They know all the
Right.
guys with all the money. Next thing you know, you fall into it. So wow,
Right.
it's amazing that that's another area we're tied. I love it,
Right.
man. I love it.
Exactly.
Well, let's kind of get into it, man. I know you've got a pretty unique story with one of your brothers, and you've got a few different things going on. But let's kind of unpack some of that stuff with your brother, because some
Yeah.
would call you a hero.
Yeah. Oh man.
I'm just saying.
It's definitely something I heard a couple of times, with tears on my shoulder. So yeah, I gotta accept that. Yeah.
He gave you an assignment and you understood what it was. So yeah, can you kind of talk us through what exactly happened?
Yeah. So growing up, my brother and I, we and my brother and I were. If you seen me, you seen him. You seen him, you seen me. We don't have the same parents. That's how close we were, to the point where, like, we're not best friends. We are brothers, right? He was the first person when I dropped out of high school, and I was like, my mom said, you either go to school or you go get your GED, but you not gonna sit in my house all day and wait till I go to work, to get up. So having those, again, you go to your friend, having that conversation, and he's already working. He went and got his GED. He went and got a job. He's doing this thing, and me, I'm waiting for my mom to get paid so I could get a dog, right? Because I didn't grow up. I really didn't have the man guidance to tell me or show me or direct me, what's the next step. If you don't like school, you want to drop out, you want to do all this stuff, great, but you're going to do this. When my mom said it, it was more of a demand. It was more, you're going to do this. I can't kick you out because I still, you my son. But
Right.
you're going to do something, right? So I applied for Burger King. I got the interview because, again, I'm good. God gave me a gift to talk. So I can
Right.
have those conversations with, I make people believe in exactly what I'm telling you. Great. God gave me that gift. As long as I'm not lying to you and I'm telling you the truth, God has blessed me in so many ways. I tell you this, Zach. The day that they called me, come and pick up your uniform. Great. I called my brother. I got the job. I'm about to go get my uniform. He said, man, you ain't working there. Get on the train right now. Meet me in the city. Same day that I met him was the same day I got the job, working at Macy's.
Oh wow.
Right. Got the job. That job took me from just being a project kid, hanging out, doing nothing, waiting for my mom to get paid so I could buy a pair of sneakers. No independence at all.
Right.
I stayed at the job. My brother left for the Marines after he got fired for a situation at the job. Again, once you get cut off from something that you don't want to stay in the projects. So his outlet was to leave the projects. And how was he leave the projects? He had a place to go. Now that place is saying, we don't want you no more. So he went back to the projects. So he knew he couldn't stay there. Turned around. He went for the Marines. Spent about 10 years there. Did two tours. Came home. He left with everything. Lady, kids. Came home, nothing. No money, no job. Can't find a job. Came the college system. They were giving him the runaround.
Of course.
And to the point where this is just, why did I do this?
Might as well have gone to prison.
Exactly. Why am I, that sold me a dream that became a nightmare. So now he's stuck. And now he's dealing with the baby mama drama. He's dealing with the finance drama. He's dealing with the school drama. He's dealing with the mental health drama. He on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast. I can't physically get to him how I used to get to him when we were kids, when we were teenagers. We can't knock on the door anymore and say, yo, man, let's go talk. It's gone because we're in now we live two different lives. You were out there fighting for a cause. I'm over here. I'm serving a cause. I'm getting my degree. Got my GED. Got my associates. Got my bachelor's. I'm doing things with my life. You're doing things in your life. But now we hit a rough spot. But now he feels like I don't want to live no more. What's the point of me even doing this? This I came home to nothing. Everything around me is telling me I don't matter. My opinions don't matter. My presence don't matter. Why are you here? So one day I get a call. And he said, yo, El, I'm about to kill myself. And I thought he was bugging. Now, our 12 o'clock is his 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. So now I'm like, man, you bugging. And again, no one never told me when someone tells you something like that, take it serious. And I'm brushing off, man, you crazy. What's going on? Trying to figure out the problem versus trying to get the gun out of his hand. I'm just trying to figure out the problem. I'm reading the signs wrong. 4 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock his time. Calls me again. Yo, El, I'm telling you right now, if you don't hear from me, just know I love you. I'm proud of you. But I can't do this no more. So now I'm taking it serious. Now I'm on the phone with him. And I'm talking to him. And we're figuring out stuff. And he's crying on the phone. I'm crying on the phone. This is in 2015. I just got my marriage back. I got my family back. I moved to Florida. Things are working out for me. Because before that, everything was crashing in my life. So now I got things moving, and I'm trying not to mess this up. But then I'm talking to him. Nah, man, I'm sending him information about jobs. I'm in Florida, and I'm looking for jobs in California. And I'm pushing it. I'm doing everything I could do. I'm sending him a couple of dollars. I know it's not a lot, but this is what I got. And while I'm trying to rebuild my marriage and my family, God put this in my life. And I'm like, God, why is this happening to me now? Why do I got to deal with this now while I'm trying to fix this? I'm trying to fix my family. I'm trying to fix my marriage. I'm trying to start this new life, this new chapter. And you just brought this new problem to me. But you know something? I did not. I promise you when I tell you, I did not question God in the way that I want him to disregard it. That's not my problem. No, I questioned him because I wanted to understand why and what do you want me to do?
Right. You needed guidance in that moment.
Right. And so every day I woke up. Every day I woke up at 3. I woke up at 6. Sent them a motivational text. 6 o'clock, same thing. 1 o'clock, same thing. 4 o'clock, same thing. 9 o'clock, same thing. 3 o'clock. I had alarms ready. Then I started scheduling the message. So it's already time. I started sending him motivational videos before I even got into this world. Before I even got into this. Get him on the phones where I'm talking to him and he really don't want to hear me. Calling him, I don't want to pick up. Yo, I'm gonna hit you back. I know it, or call him. Look, he seemed to call. But I'm not just saying, when it says leave a voicemail, I'm not just hanging up the phone, I'm actually leaving a voicemail. Hey man, just want to let you know I'm thinking about you, I love you. Every voicemail. I'm doing this every day, having those conversations with him. It took him 6 years. 6 years to put down the gun. 6 years. Because he could carry it, because he's licensed.
Right.
He's licensed. So it did anything, it wouldn't factor. Like, to them, it would have been like, it was an accident. Oh, blame it on the Marines. Blame it on the service. Blame it. No. That's my brother. No, we're not blaming it. No. Like, we need to be here for him. So every day, God put that on me. A thought. Go talk to your brother. Hey, and then I started, Zach, I started saying, I'm putting it on him so he feels like it's always about me. It's always about me. So I started talking to him about me. Me and my wife getting back together, me and the kids, we're building a better father-son relationship. We're doing this. I didn't make it just about him eventually. It was about us, where I got him to start having conversations with me versus me having conversations with him. So I'm finding these ways to talk to him. And let me tell you, I never did any research on suicidal mental. I never did any research on it. What I did was, I know my brother to a certain extent. The information that I know from him, I know in the 10 years that we haven't been around each other, I know things has changed. I ain't no fool. I know things has changed. But I know the third grader. I know the kid that we used to buy $2 heroes and cut it in half. I know the 50 cent, you got a quarter and I got a quarter. Mm-hmm. I know let's exchange, oh, can I wear that shirt tomorrow? I know the jeans, I know that kid. So at the end of the day, I know my brother, when he was in the service, he met other men that became brothers in his life. I know that. But the fact that God told him to reach out to me because he's about to do something against God's will, that told me I have a mission. I have to do it. I have to save my brother. So every day I started doing that. And eventually, it started clearing up. The smoke started. Well, now he got a job. Now he's in school. Now he got a girlfriend. Now things are lining up for him. But it took him, someone staying with him, not judging him, staying with him and letting him know and reminding him that he matters, that he do count. What he did for the country matters. And some people don't get it. Some people come home and they feel like you're supposed to be a millionaire, you're supposed to have all this stuff, and you don't. Because they don't tell you the reality. The problem is, and I'm not going against anybody in the service, I'm not. I love what you do. But understand, my brother saw the side B when he came home. Everybody shows you the side A when you're out there risking your life every day. But when you come home and reality kicks in and they show the side B to it, now you have to really deal with life on a different pedestal, because before you were a kid, you were 18, 19 when you went in. Now you in your 30s. It's a totally different ballpark. Your kids are older. Life has changed. The way you buy, everything has changed. And no one's there to hold your hand and tell you, this is the direction we're going. This is what's happening over here. No, we don't. Back then we did that, but we're not doing that no more. Life changed, with or without him. So he had to make the adjustments mentally. So he's dealing with that mentally, and I had to every day talk to him, speak to him, breathe life into him, tell him like you matter,
Right.
and incorporate my life because I never wanted him to feel like I'm perfect. I got things going on, Zach. Everything's working out for me. No, I'm dealing with stuff too. Help me now. I'm with you every day. Now see my side B too. And so it took me 6 years for me to help him put down the gun. In that time frame, eventually, Lamar, just a couple other guys that came home and and they in that same mindset as me. Started with me texting him every morning. Turned around, started texting the second person, then the third person. Then now I got the family. I'm texting family members. Turn around, I built a community based on what God's mission was for me to save
Man.
my brother's gun was the reason why I got into motivation, why I got into speaking life into people, with that black hole about just connecting his life and his situation to my life, my situation. So now I'm in a point where I'm okay with my testimonies. I'm okay with saying I almost lost my marriage because I was doing silly stuff. I'm okay with saying that I didn't have a good relationship with my kids at some point because me and their mom wasn't seeing eye to eye. I'm okay with saying that I did grow up, with one parent. I did grow up in a household with 7 people. I did grow up in the projects. I'm a high school dropout. I went and got me applying for a job, Zach. I lied on the application. My brother told me, yo, man, just lie and say you got your high school diploma, and then got called out on it. The same lady that said, no, I can't give you the job was the same lady who put me in the class to get my GED.
Wow. Wow.
And my brother, I called my brother that day. I said, man, she caught me. And he said, what you mean? He said, why you didn't just tell me? She wanted to see the papers. She wanted to see the high school diploma. It didn't make sense. So my brother, at this point where he's at now, I'm proud of him because I saved him, but he also saved me. He saved me. So 2 people were saving each other. He saved me in my marriage. He saved me with my kids. He saved me with my health. I have to live for him. I have to live for him as much as he has to live for me. Now we talk here and there, but we know we're both doing something that will hold each other responsible for the things we do. Because I never want someone to call my brother and tell him, yo, L out here doing good. And then he called me, yo, what's up with you? What's going on with you? That's how we acting? That's how we moving? He told me before he left, Zach, the night before he left for the Marines, he said, do me a favor. He said, because I ain't coming back. This is it. I'm never coming back to this project. When I come out, I don't know where I'm gonna live, but it won't be here. I won't be taking the bus. I won't be taking the train. I'm gonna be driving. He said, I need you to leave this project. I need you to look past this project, not past Steinway, not past the train station. I need you to really look past this all. There's a world out there. I promise you. We were standing in front of the building, and he gave me a $5 and said, I'm gonna holler at you later. That was the last time. And I haven't seen my brother since that night, since he left for the Marines.
Wow. 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 I mean, bro, sheesh. There's a lot to unpack with everything you just said. Um, First and foremost, I'm gonna kind of go forward, then we'll move backward. So fast forward to 2023, and he's still doing the work. He's still doing well. He's still getting other guys involved, and y'all are talking more or steadily and everything. Correct?
Yeah, right.
I love it. I love it, man. I love it. Just wanted to make sure. Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. So, first and foremost, let's go back a little bit. Anytime we talk about suicide and people being in that area, it really hits home for me. As you know, last year I knew 9 different guys that took their lives. But maybe more penetrative than that for me, I was suicidal for almost a full decade, 9 years and some change, if I really count from first thought and attempt and fast forward to, when I finally said, you know what, I'm better than all of this, and it was my last attempt. And it's funny because it's sick funny because it's always the same thing. The people closest to the individual who attempted or was successful in taking their life, the family, the close friends, the people around them never really know. But it's almost always that one person that you extend to and say, I'm on the edge and I'm about to go. And that really is a cry for help. The fact that you were able to help figure out a way to navigate that without, looking it up, without, reaching out to other people that kind of specialized in that field speaks to how well you know your brother, even though it had been such a long extent of time since you last had seen each other. So that says a lot. That really says a lot, especially as far as God deciding to use you. And there are levels to this thing because as a man, as a member of the military, with all the cultural stigmas and stereotypes around us today, especially men of color and black men more specifically, it's hard to even admit being weak. Or being in a weak moment. But the craziest part of that is that's when you realize how strong you are.
Right.
So let's see. At that time he was a retired Marine struggling with his reacclimation between the child and the stuff with his, former wife or girlfriend, battling PTSD, all the different things. It was just a lot. Outside of y'all talking, has he gotten additional help?
I believe so. I mean, I started to move not allowed, but I didn't want to always keep it in that area where
Right.
he knew there's pain there. I want to say yes, but I know 1,000% he shifted that mindset from I need help to let me go get help.
Good.
Whereas, whether it's a security job that he was working to school, to knowing that let me go back to church.
Yeah.
Let me do things that I know I can control versus me saying, well, you owe me this, because that was the mindset. You owe me this. I fought for the country. You owe me this. And it was like, no, you know what? You don't owe me nothing.
That makes sense.
You
That
know?
makes sense. I mean, one thing that I know personally and what I know of from the couple of people that I've been able to open up to and have opened up to me is that's almost always the case. There's a lack of something where, not something, there's a lack of purpose in that time or that point in time. And a lot of the and in most cases, it's a matter of needing to feel like you're feeling or fulfilling some type of sense of purpose. And it sounds like that's kind of one of the things he started to do, especially with getting a job and getting into church and doing the things that were going to feed him emotionally, spiritually, etc. Because PTSD is real. I have PTSD. And I mean, it's one thing to see certain things depicted on TV and see somebody with night terrors, but you can't show what goes on in the mental of a person who's literally traumatized. And especially, and I can't even relate. I wasn't in the military, so I can't even imagine after going out on 2 tours. That's different, man. The reality of PTSD among black men is that for one, PTSD is one of the number one causes that go into suicide, the high suicide rates. I know at one point, military vets were averaging 20 people a day that were taking their lives.
Man.
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's because I did do some research. I really wanted to try to understand what I was fighting. When I realized I had to fight, like I said, I made multiple attempts at taking my life. I tried with pills. I tried with a gun on 2 different occasions. One of which I got this thing called dead trigger from a gun that I had shot 2-3 times with no problems. But then all of a sudden, when I decided to turn the barrel on myself, dead trigger. And then the other time, right when I was going to grab for it, I got a phone call and it completely distracted me. And it was actually a call from my best friend's mother telling me, "You've been on my heart, you've been on my mind, and I need you to come to church with me on Sunday." This woman doesn't call me. She always sends word through her son because we talk all the time. But on this one occasion where she has no idea that I have locked and loaded my gun, she calls me randomly out the blue. "Yeah, you've been on my mind really, really heavily, and I need you to go to church with me on Sunday." What? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy how God will use people, but also it's amazing how when it's not your time to go, He will not let you go. He won't.
He will not.
If you've got bigger shoes to fill. You've got a higher purpose to live in, and I need to use you. And that's what I realized. That's what I realized in that last moment. I mean, I was sitting there snotty and crying, and I was like, okay, but if you're gonna use me, I need you to let me know what it is. And over time, progressively, life gets better. It's funny that a lot of the times we tend to be so lost in the darkness that we can't see at the time that we'll eventually find the light. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's what purpose does for us. And it sounds like what you did was, especially when you flipped it and said, "Let me not make this all about you. Let me make this about me as well." That's when you gave him a sense of fulfillment, because I get to be bro again, not just the homie that's going through a hard time and you just keep checking in on me.
Right.
I love it.
Right.
I love everything about it, bro. I love everything about it.
And it
I
was
love
one of
everything
those
about it.
like you don't know what I've been through. You don't. Well, tell me.
Right.
What,
Right.
what I and that's the thing. With me and my brother, we're just straight cut. You kill somebody. You killed the kid. You blew up something. Let's break this all down. I don't want to talk about it. All right, we don't got to talk about it. All right, did you change it? Your basketball team? You still Miami Heat? Hey, when you ready to talk about it, I'm here. You don't want, but that's where some of the times, that's where the problem lies. We're always trying to force a conversation when sometimes the conversation is not needed right there. Does not mean walk away. All right, cool. Let's talk about something else. You got my time. You got my attention. I don't like them 2 days being wasted. So we're going to have a different conversation. And when you're ready to have that conversation, I'm still here. I'm still ready. But I know now, when you tell me I don't want to talk about it, that lets me know I don't need to bring it up. I'm going to let you bring it up now.
Absolutely.
I want you to know, I do want to know. But when you're ready to let me know.
And I think that's one of the biggest things. That's one of the reasons why I have such a strong passion in regard to pushing the narrative and normalizing discussion around hard topics, because other people need to understand that just because you want to talk about it now does not mean that I'm ready to have the conversation now. Just because you realize that I've got something going on doesn't mean that I'm ready to face what is going on with me. You know, it's hard to look trauma in the eyes and then have to admit what you see. And then to be able to find the words to be able to deliver that to somebody who does not, may not, cannot, and will not be able to see it the way that you see it or does not understand, that's a whole different level. But on top of that, we got to fight through social stigma. We've got to fight through stereotypes. We've got to get past this shell of what it means to be a man versus what it means to be weak. We've got to fight through so many different levels of this thing. And I realize too, if I can put into words what my depression, what my PTSD, what my anxiety looks like and convey that, it's dark. And reality is a lot of people, they're afraid to hear it. So they don't ask. When you get asked how you doing, they don't want the real answer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It takes for somebody that actually cares, somebody that actually loves you, somebody that actually is willing to give or sacrifice their time in order to really hear you out and make sure that you're okay. So, dude, I commend you. I think that is absolutely beautiful. We need more of you. We need more of that. We have to start normalizing these conversations and give everybody a safe place. Vets, if nobody else, a veteran should not have to worry about where they're going to lay their head at night, what type of health care they're going to have access to, nor how they're going to be looked at or judged when they talk about the stuff that they had to overcome. Nobody should, but a vet? Come on now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And the mindset of when you, and again, I'm just assuming, for him to come home in life, of course, life is moving on, because all he could deal with life is what he hears on the phone, on a letter. I still, to this day, we're talking 15 plus years,
right?
I still have the first letter he wrote me.
Wow.
4 pages. I still have that letter. I still have it. And for him to see hear what life is going on right now with, on the phone or in a letter, and then to come home and have an idea what's going on. And then when reality comes in and it's like, well, this wasn't like this when I was there. Now I got to deal with this. I'm not prepared for this. No, that wasn't what was told to me, when I was transitioned out of the service. So you got to mentally deal with that. And if you have someone, out there that's dealing with it, be their support system. Don't put your feelings in it. Just because they in a mood, their mood is not reflected because of you. They're just in their mood. Their mood is their mood. Don't make it about you. Don't make it about, oh, well, I don't like the way he or she said that, or what they doing. No. It's bigger than this. It is bigger than this. Sometimes, this is what get me, Zach. Sometimes people think when you there, you have to be physically doing something. You have to be doing something. You have to be talking. Sometimes people just want you there and just to be quiet. You ever sat with your grandmother or grandfather and they in the living room or they in the room and they watching TV? They not talking. They just looking. But they know you there. They get up. Hey, I'm about to go get me something to eat. You want something? Again, y'all wasn't having no conversation, but again, they know you there.
Exactly.
Be there. You don't need to come with gifts. You don't need to come with, oh, look at my life. No. Sometimes you just need to be there. Be silent about it. Just be ready to have a conversation. Be ready to take a walk with them. Be ready to play games. Just be there. And the only thing that really pulled me in ways of it was breaking me is because I can't get to my brother. I can't get to him. I'm scared every day that I'm gonna get a call from his sisters that he took his life. Do you understand that type of mentality where I'm trying to do my job, fix my marriage, fix my family, maintain whatever free time I do have with my own self, my own mental health, and still have some thought of, is my brother having a good day?
Right.
Is today his day that's it?
Right.
I can't. The last job done told me no. The school, they told me to bring these papers. I brought these papers. Now they say I got to bring this. No, and class and stuff. Do you understand the mentality that you have to be strong, move your feelings out of it, move your ego out of it, move your pride out of it, and make it literally about the foundation you want to build with that person, and understand you are doing God's work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been there. Like I said, I've been on both sides, but more so on his side. And what a lot of people don't realize is when you have depression, high anxiety, PTSD, any of these mental ailments that already have you on edge, any little thing can push you on over. A lot of people don't realize, they look at life and they want to, of course, we all see everything through our lens, our own lens. We look at everything from, well, I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have said that, but you don't know that. Because not only are you looking at it from the perspective of this current situation, but then you have to tie in everything that predeceased that moment.
Right.
So had you have gone through A through Y,
right,
then maybe you would have handled Z differently from the way
right,
you are standing over there, having not dealt with that.
Exactly.
And that's the part. That's the part I. It's the unfortunate part about reality. And you said that was in 2015. Funny enough.
Yeah.
So around that time, that's when social media was really blowing up as well.
Right.
Do you think any of what he was going through had anything to do with seeing perfection personified in everybody else around him?
I think so too, because he did have a Facebook. He didn't have that. He had a Facebook, and whatever was shown on Facebook, at that time, is that's going on. I gotta portray that. Oh,
Right.
I don't have a girl. I haven't, it wasn't like, I gotta find some girls. I gotta find some people. I gotta get my life back. But
Right.
how do I do that? My brother's
Yeah.
not around. My sister's not around. My mom's not around. My dad's not around. It's just me in this state by myself. I am responsible for my responsibilities. So how do I do this? I got to do this alone. I never did that before. I never had to really take care of myself because before I went to the service, my mom was there, right? But now I go into the service, I have brothers. I have these people around me. Yeah, there's some things I have to do, but not where now 24 hours a day, I got to take care of me. I'm responsible for me, my bills, my health, my food, my transportation. Everything is counting on me because I have nobody that's going to give me a safety net.
Mm.
I had a safety net when I was with my mom. I had the safety net when I was in the service. Now
Right.
the safety net's gone.
Right.
Who's going to save me if I fall? There's no safety net.
Right.
So now, before you make a bad decision, just look at the people that really want to be in your life. That's not forcing themselves to. That's not forcing it. They want to be in your life, but you feel like they're forcing you. They're forcing it, and they're not. They just want to be in your life. They just don't know how, because your way of someone being in your life is not the other person's way.
Yep.
So that's the thing. I tell people this. What I'm assuming, I'm not expecting you to know what I'm assuming. I'm not expecting that. And that was my problem.
Right.
And that was my problem. So I stopped that. So listen, I want to be in your life. I want to be in your life every day, whether you like it or not. Every day I have to, whether you reply back to a text message that I send you or return my call or my voicemail, no matter what, I'm still going to do what I need to do for you.
Right. Right. And I think that was exuded. I mean, it sounds like the rotation that you were on, sending the motivational stuff, was your initial attempt. And then when you realize, okay, I'm trying to go this inspirational route and it's not working as of right now, let me switch this thing up to something else to intrigue the conversation, not force it, but intrigue it. And once we can get to talking, I'll
Right.
do my little check-in. If we're not ready, fine. Well, let me tell you about me, and maybe you can help me out. And like I said, what it sounds like is that gave him a sense of purpose. It gave him a sense of feeling wanted and needed, which is what is needed in the time of being that close to deciding to take your life. Man, I love it, bro. I love it. I'm very, very proud to hear that.
My brother once told me, he said, it's funny how you used to send me motivational videos and then you became a motivational video. And I was like, wow, I didn't even really look at that. And he was like, yeah, he said, you became my motivation. And he's like, I send your stuff to other people. And he's like, so don't be surprised. People reach out to you. I'm like, I didn't realize that. I was like, I know what I was doing. And he was just like, because your purpose tied into all this. I said, I got it. You ain't got to tell me no more.
I love it. I love it. I mean, it's funny how God will find ways to use you. And the way that he uses you will be dependent on how you allow him to mold you. Yeah. Because, I mean, I think about my situation, and like I said, I was willing and ready. I tried a few times over 10 years to take my life. 7, if we're being accurate.
Mhm.
7 different. And dude, I'm good at almost everything I touch. That one couldn't figure it out. And then,
Bro, boy, I drew a whole week.
bro, I'm like, statistically, this could not have failed, but it failed. Like, how? That's the one thing I could not figure out. And I mean, between I'm not going to speak on everything that I tried because I don't want anybody to get the idea that they can try and potentially live through it, because I know that me surviving attempt after attempt after attempt was not me. I didn't survive that. God did what he does and protected me through that. And that was because he decided years down the line, I need you to use all these experiences that I've put you through. I need you to utilize that and apply it to something that's going to give you a higher sense of purpose. I'm finally going to give you that thing. You finally deserved it. But funny enough, he didn't allow me to see any of this until I started to do the work myself.
Right.
I have been on and off with therapists for years. I had my first psychotic breakdown when I was 11. My legs literally shut down after having seen my dad, my dad's dead body, and really being probably more so pissed that he wasn't a good father than I was about the fact that he was gone.
Mm.
I never was allowed understanding. Like I said, not until I was about 30. I have been incarcerated, and and even that, I had already stopped dealing with the stuff that I was in the middle of, but due to the fact that I took Georgia's first offenders, it opened the door for the feds to turn around and reconvict me on the same charge, but they just put the word conspiracy in front of it, so that way they could essentially hit me for double jeopardy. I jumped out of that, didn't do the healing, got into a really toxic relationship, and then exchanged rings with somebody that I shouldn't have even been in a relationship with, and that was toxic. And then I jumped into another relationship after another relationship after another relationship, and eventually looked up and said, what the hell am I doing wrong? Like,
Right.
and I realized I wasn't doing the work. I wasn't
Right.
working on me. I was trying to take all of the outward elements and reconfigure them to make it look like I was doing better than I was, so that I would hopefully feel like I was doing better.
Yeah.
And that wasn't it. Growth and change are inward. And so I love it, because now after last year and me finding some new ways to really work on my mental health and do some things where I may be partnering up with some organizations soon, it was when I got that last call that it really resonated with me. The week before Christmas, I got a call that a 22-year-old that I used to pick up and take to the mall and hang out with, that was my little guy. Back in the day, 15 years younger than me, I got the call that he had taken his life that morning. And it was the same morning I had just finally gotten a brain scan to figure out what was going on, beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And it hit me hard. All of a sudden that day, I started having conversations with my inner circle. All of a sudden that day, I decided I need to have a conversation with my mother, because she knows that I've struggled. She knows the absolute surface level of the stuff I dealt with, some of the stuff, not all of it. And I had to be candid with her. And then I prayed and I said, all right, whatever you need me to do, God, just show me the direction. I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to stop and ask more questions. Just give me the end game and I'll go. And that's why we're here today. So, man, dude, I thank you, brother. I thank you, man. The the more people we can get, like a Lamar Wilson, that just care enough to put themselves aside and just be present and in moment with somebody that you already know and see is struggling, to not overlook the fact that this person is saying, hey, I'm low. Because you could have very well said, hey, bro, you tripping, man. Just tighten up and let it go. And then you'd have been feeling super terrible if those words would not have transcended the way that they needed to. So I applaud you, brother. I thank you. To me, you are a hero. Because when it really boils down to it, that's what's needed. We need more of that in this world instead of the division.
Yeah.
Man, wow. Well, look, let's switch gears a little bit, man. We hit a lot of dark and heavy stuff, and I still want my listeners, I want anybody who's following to get another sense of who Mr. Lamar Wilson is. Outside of being a motivational speaker, you're also an author, I hear.
Yeah. Out of his first day, again, that is a thing of watching my mom write 4 books. And she passed, she wrote 4 books that just stayed in the conversation book. It never been typed, it never been sent for editing, nothing. It just, she never got a chance to really see the light of those books. And I don't know where those books are at. I honestly don't know, but I do know is that it's always been on my mind that why was my mom writing a book? What? And then 4 books, not just 1, 4. And I just remember God saying, you out here inspiring the world. We out here helping people, helping relationships, freeing up people. I need you to write a book. Now, I could have wrote any book. I could have wrote a book about my life. I could have wrote a book about my brother. I could have wrote a book about my feelings towards anything under the sun I could have wrote. But God said, I need you to write a children's book. I need you to get yourself in a position of when you were a kid or when your kids were walking into fear. And that's what this book is about. This book is about children being motivated, removing the fear, being inspired, learning how to have leadership, understanding that, yes, things do get scary, big or small, that you take your first step. And I tell you, writing this book, it took me 2 years. 2 years. I wrote it out, went back, it's all wrong, wrote it again, typed it up, sent it out. They said it's completely wrong. I know I got a GED, but I could write, I could read. Come back, it got all these reds, sent it back. And started doing the process. And that's what we've been talking about all day today, the process. My brother had a process to go through.
Right.
Like Zach had a process to go through. Lamar has a process to go through. And now I got the book. Zach, the book is ready. Good, let's put it out. A couple people come back. Hey, Lamar, you missing words. There's typos. There's double sentences. Okay. Got some red. Let's go back. Do the same thing. This is 100% done. Perfect. And now I'm a registered author. And I look around and I said, I can't think of one of my friends, maybe a couple that got their GED, but I can't think of one of my friends that got college degrees. I can't think of one of my friends that said, I'm going to write a book or I'm going to do something outside of our normal childhood. Like I want to leave a legacy, not just for my kids, but for my last name. When they Lamar, oh, he wrote a book. He inspired the world. He left videos that will outlive him. He left quotes that will outlive. They're still talking about this stuff since 10, 20 years. I call it the Tupac effect. People are still interviewing, still talking about Tupac.
Yep.
Since 1996. And if you don't know who Tupac is, go do your research. Put down, I'm not going to talk about no rappers and that. Go on YouTube, just watch a couple videos. Spend a day with Tupac. I promise you, till this day, there's probably right now, people are being interviewed about the life Tupac had with them.
Absolutely.
And that's where I want to leave my legacy. The lifestyle, the life, the conversations, the interviews, everything that they had with me. I want that to live. So this book is a book that, to me, my mom wrote 4. I took whatever was in those 4 books and I put it in one file.
I love that. I love that. Man, once again, a lot to unpack with everything you just said. I love it, bro. I love it, man. And funny you talk about Tupac. I've got this big old poster on the other side of me, right on the wall of Tupac. Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
People, the guy, I don't know the story and stuff with him, but they just found some information about a guy that was involved with the shooting.
Yeah, he admitted it.
26, 27 years ago.
Yep.
Tupac name still rings. So if this year, if you want to truly leave your mark, make sure you leave your mark with the right relationships, having the right conversations, doing the right things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And something else that you said that's pretty profound. We're in the best position of any time in the legacy of us to be able to leave a legacy. And legacy, when people talk about legacies, they typically default to leaving certain things behind from a financial standpoint. Mm-hmm. And while that is important, that's as simple as having life insurance, the right type of life insurance. But that doesn't tell the story of you, because the reality is anything beyond just dying, which is the only guarantee in life, is that your name is only going to ring for a generation or two after you're gone, unless you do something pretty damn substantial.
Right.
And that's exactly what you're doing. You're making it so that people will utilize and say the name Lamar Wilson 100, 200, 300, 500 years from now, God willing. I absolutely love that, man. I absolutely love it. And another thing I've realized, especially with your motivational speaking, I will be honest, I love social media for the tool that it can be, but I hate social media for the trend platform that it has become.
Right.
Social media has a lot of people thinking that success and growth is an overnight thing, but none of that can be accomplished in a day. It's a daily process, and it's all subjective as well. Right. What success looks like to and for me is different from what it looks like to a Lamar Wilson and the next person and the next person and the next person. But no one person has the right formula where it has to be this or that. We've got to find gratitude in everything that we do as well. So I know I just kind of went off on a tangent, but as I'm listening to you, man, I'm inspired, bro. I see why you're a motivational speaker, bro. Like I feel motivated.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the the energy I want to leave. I want when they say, "Hey, man, you know this guy Lamar?" Oh, Lamar is like, I knew him for years. I knew that's my man right there. What's up? You know? And that's where I want to leave everybody with that. Because
Absolutely.
to the where we came from, that's why I said we're 80s babies. That era going into the 90s and being able the 2000s of us, now we outside. Long shirts, headbands, do-rags in the pocket. Right.
Yeah.
We
Jabot,
survived. Oh, come on. We survived all that for a reason to
Absolutely.
be here. So
Absolutely.
we have a purpose. We have a responsibility every day, whether that's on social media or social media, to do something to leave your mark. There's no gray area anymore. We've been in this environment now for this long, where at this point you have to tell yourself, what am I, not financially, what am I leaving? Am I leaving good conversations with my kids, with my spouse, with my brothers, my sisters, my parents, my grandparents? Am I leaving a good mark with what I am doing when I am faced with something challenging? Am I still leaving with a good mark?
True. And a lot of that is just, like you said, equipping our families, our children, everybody with the tools that they need to be better people. I mean, it sounds simple and it can be simplified, but the world tries to make it seem like it's such a hard move, and it doesn't have to be, man.
It's not.
Crazy. That's
No.
crazy. So let me ask you this, my brother. Are we writing any more books? Are we
Yeah.
just focused on this one for right now?
No. I'm Oliver. Now we're trying to figure out: do we want to do we want Oliver to learn manners, or do we want Oliver to learn his first sport? So that book I will have out later this year. I just started, and here's the thing. Yeah, I wrote this book 2 years ago, and I know technology has changed, but to me, I capture more of Oliver writing it down. So I'm
Absolutely.
going back to pen and paper, how I did the first, writing it down. So Oliver, I want to create a series of my biggest mentor, influencer, it's always been since I was a kid, was Dr. Seuss. I read every Dr. Seuss book several times, and he inspired me about the amount of books, the imaginations, and things that he created, and that's what I want to do with Oliver. There's so much to unpack with Oliver that it doesn't just stop on his first day of school. It's manners, sports. There's actual school. There's teaching. There's so much stuff to unpack with Oliver that I'm going to create this legacy for him, where my kids will say, "Your grandfather wrote a book. Your great grandfather wrote a book. This was his first book. This was a 20. Now we're going to take that legacy and we're going to continue his legacy. We wanted to continue that this book will always be in the Wilson's family forever. Because if I had a daughter, her last name changes. My son's last name remains the same. So I want to keep that Wilson's name all the way to the point where when I get to heaven, I'm just like, look at that. We're in 4, 5 different generations. Thank you, God.
Yes. I love it, man. I love it. So what's next for Lamar Wilson outside of the remaining series of the books?
Schools, I got a lot of schools right now that I'm going to be getting into. I have a program that I created late last year. It's called PST, Problems, Solutions, Targets, where I'm going into schools and we're identifying problems, whether that's internal, external, home, school, relationships. Okay, now we're going to find a solution. Let's find a solution, because one thing you could tell me about the problems, Zach, that's cool. Hey, this is going on. That's great. What's the solution?
Right. That's the
Right?
part that really matters.
Right. Because I was just more entertained by having it's a problem. Okay, great. My grades are at a D. So what's the solution? Because there's a problem here. So then so we're going to tackle the problem and solution. And then what's the target? Where do we want to be at the end of the school year? Where do we want to be at the end of the quarter? Where do we want to be even with when you leave junior high school, college? Like this program that I created, this program is going to help and give students the resources and tools to know what's next. So that's the mission I'm on this entire year, to get in front of every student, every guidance counselor, principal, assistant principal, and get them in a position where this program is that they use this program from years on.
Right. I love it. I love it. And I'm glad you said that. We'll talk about it more offline, but I may actually have some resources to help you do that. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah. I love that, man. I love it. One of the quotes I remember reading a couple of years ago that really resonated with me was, be the person that you needed when you were a child.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing, man. There are a lot of kids who need it. There are a lot of youth that don't have the guidance, access to certain resources, or just the knowledge to think forward enough. Where you grew up sounds like it was similar to where I did. I, as a child, didn't look past the age of 18 because I knew in my heart I wasn't going to make it probably past 16, 17. So by the time I hit my 18th birthday, I was like, crap, I didn't plan for this.
Right.
and even now, I still have culture shock sometimes. When my birthday comes around, I'm like, wow, I'm still here. This is crazy.
Right.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, look, brother, that's almost everything. We're gonna one thing I like to do when I sum up my episode is, well, two things. One, I want to leave you with final remarks. And then two, I asked all of my guests to prepare a letter to trauma. And I'd like for you to read that, if you will, as well. So first and foremost, any final words for anybody who's listening?
Yeah. If you are dealing, or you are close to someone that's dealing with suicidal thoughts, just be there. Just be there. Just honestly, the little bit helps. Sometimes not being there, it that makes it even worse. Sometimes just being there, just, hey, I just want to just be in your presence. Find just those little cracks in their time of the day. Sometimes don't. I know you have a life. But I promise you, saving a life is even more important. So just be there.
Absolutely agree, man. And that final portion, dear trauma, let's get it.
Dear trauma, I tell you today that I will not allow you to dictate what my decisions are in the present or in the future. I understand what you did to me and what you did for me made me who I am today. So, dear trauma, thank you. Thank you for allowing a fatherless son to be a father to 3 sons, to have a mother that had 7 kids and treated every kid equal. Thank you for always saying, you're strong, and I'm going to show you how strong you are. And showing me that, yes, when my back is on the wall, no money in the pocket, nobody around, and you told me, you're gonna break. And I didn't. And whatever you do throw at me, I promise you, like they say, new levels bring new devils, but also brings better angels. So thank you.
Ooh, Lord. I love it, man. I love it. Well, once again, my brother, thank you so much for blessing the show. Ladies and gentlemen, wow. Yes. Where can anybody who's looking to follow you and maybe even utilize your motivational services, where can they find you at?
They can find me. I'm on all social media outlets. I am Lamar Wilson. I got lucky with that, so you don't have to put no numbers or underscores and stuff like that. Thank you for that. But for any time for my services, please email me at booklamarwilson@gmail.com. I definitely get back to everybody within 24 hours. Thank you. And thank you, man. I thank you, truly for us, we just connect offline and stuff. You and I, we vibe. But thank you for the platform. Thank you for opening up this door that so many people are scared to do, or they want to do it and they keep talking about doing it, but they never press the record button. And it takes a lot. They don't get it. And I know we pass it out. I get that, but I want you to understand, and we could clip this up too.
Oh no, it's all good.
But I want you. I truly command you. I applaud you. I thank you. I love it that you are not scared to press the record button on this topic. People talk about the topic, but they don't press the record button and talk about and be vulnerable. Like I've been so vulnerable this past hour with you, man to man, eye to eye, to have this conversation because I've been holding this in for 6 years, and you freed me up. Now when I get off this, now I gotta go reach out to my brother and let him know you done free me up. And I pray that when he do see this, that it frees him up. Because so many of us are battling the little kid in us, the teenager in us. And so for you to press that record button, I thank you so much. Every time you press that record button, then just know you are freeing somebody up, man.
Dude, I appreciate that. I'm over here battling right now, trying not to get emotional, bro. Bro, it's right there on the edge, bro.